Hey there, fearfully and wonderfully made human. Welcome back to the Holistic Counselor podcast, where I'm trying my best to navigate faith and wellness and dive into raw, real conversations to help you live the life God designed for you and for me. So, I'm Diana, your host, and today we're talking about something I've been doing for a few years now, and I've tried to really refine it. It's creating a faith and wellness prayer board. Now, notice I didn't call it a vision board. There's a reason for that, and we're going to unpack it. Isn't about manifesting what I want or what we want. It's about seeking God's will, surrendering our plans to Him, and letting Him establish our steps. I'll share how this year I transitioned from magazines and poster boards on my fridge to using Canva and incorporating it into my morning ritual. And I'll give you tips on how to create your own prayer board, why it's so powerful, and how it can align your year with God's purpose. But before we get into it, I've got some pretty cool news. I have some really awesome guests coming up, hopefully in the next couple of months. So stay tuned for that. Also, if you haven't already, can you please go back and listen to the episodes from the very beginning? There's so much goodness waiting for you. And while you're at it, check out my blog at throughthevalleytherapy.com/liberation lunas. And I'm also asking if you would follow me on Instagram, social media. Why is that important? Well, it really isn't. But hey, sometimes when I'm not focused on God, I do because I am human. I focus on what's going on in the world. And to move forward sometimes in a business, as many of you know, the more followers, et cetera, I would rather not be on social media at all. But here I am with social media. So I'm asking you to follow it. All right. So, full transparency though, I'm kind of a post and ghost kind of girl. Um, is that bad? Well, seriously, your support means so much to me. So please don't be shy. Comment, message me, or even better, share this episode with someone who needs it. Okay, let's start with the why. Why a prayer board? Why not just call it a vision board like everyone else? Well, two things. Because praying to me is a lifeline. And of course, I want to be unique. But am I really? No, I'm human, just like you, right? So we could either think we're all very unique or we're not, but we kind of are unique because we each have our own thumbprint. But I'm not going to go into that because then I go into a rabbit hole. And as many of you know, when I do these little mini sodes, that happens a lot. That's why I like interviewing people because it makes me stay focused. Okay. So here's the thing. Vision boards tend to focus on what we want, our dreams, goals, and ideal lives. And while there's nothing wrong with dreaming big, as a Christian, I know it's not just about me. It's about God's plans for me. A prayer board shifts the focus from me to He. Proverbs 69 says, Proverbs 16:9 says, in their hearts, humans plan their course, but the Lord establishes their steps. A prayer board isn't about claiming your future or forcing things to happen. It's about surrendering your goals and asking God, what's your plan for me in this season? What should I focus on? When I first started creating these boards years ago, I'd sit at my kitchen table or with friends with a stack of magazines, a pair of scissors, some glue, piecing them together, the images, the words that spoke to my heart. And I put the finished board on my fridge so I'd see it every day, or sometimes in my office on my bulletin board. But this year I decided to try something new. I made my prayer board on Canva, and I love how it turned out. I printed it out and I keep it on a clipboard with my morning pages journal. If you are watching YouTube, or if you want to see the visual, go to YouTube. Here is my journal. And quickly, here's my prayer board. Whoa, so much light. Okay. And so now it's become part of my daily ritual. It's so much more intentional and portable, and it fits perfectly into the rhythms I've built over the years. Which brings me to another piece of this, my morning and evening rituals. These aren't just routines, they're lifelines. I've purposely worked on them for years to stay functional and healthy in mind, body, and spirit. And let's be real, how could I give homework to my clients if I wasn't practicing these things myself, right? A new addition to my morning ritual this year is using AI. Yes, you heard me right. Artificial intelligence, Chat GPT. Listen, we're either going to learn to master it or it's going to master us. And at this moment, I take it day by day and I actually utilize it, and it's very, very helpful. That's because I'm constantly asking it questions, and it gives me it's a tool. It's like the cell phone when it first came out, or a calculator. So really, do we have to fear it? Well, as a Christian, I don't, because to me, God's in control. Anyway, um, so it's been such a great way to go deeper in self reflection and stay curious about what God is doing in my life. I'll share more about that later, but for now, let's talk about how to create your prayer board. Okay, so first and foremost, pray first. This is the most important step before you grab any supplies. Spend time in prayer. I spend a lot of time in nature. And I know for those that are super busy with young children and family and significant others, work, full time work, because, I get it. I've been there. Remember, I'm a grandma and, well, an abuelita. And I have a little bit more time to spend in prayer. But honestly, you guys, if I knew back then what I know now, well, I did do a lot of praying back then too, but like it's got to be really super important for you to be still and know who you are, because no matter where you are and what you're doing in life, you have to understand that connection you have with the creator of the universe. And to me, that is a lifeline, like, because things are going to come and go. We're going to have good days and bad days, times when we fail, and sometimes when we succeed. And that is part of life. This is why Ecclesiastes is my favorite chapter or the book of the Bible at this moment, honestly, because it is. There's nothing new under heaven. And as a believer, I truly believe this is what gives me the peace that goes beyond all understanding. So, anyway, pray first. What areas of your life it needs healing, growth, or that you need to surrender? And sit still. I know it's really uncomfortable for many of us to sit still, but try it. Just be still. All right. So now you gather your supplies. You can go old school like I used to with magazines, scissors, poster boards, or go digital like I do now with Canva. The method doesn't matter. What matters is that it's meaningful to you. And now choose your focus areas: faith, add Bible verses, worship lyrics, or words that reflect your spiritual goals. On my board, I included James 1:5. If any of you lacks wisdom, you should ask God. I also have Proverbs 16:3. Commit to the Lord whatever you do, and he will establish your plans. I have Joshua 1:9. Be strong and courageous. Do not be afraid. Do not be discouraged, for the Lord your God will be with you wherever you go. And that's just a few that I have that every morning that I pray and I ask God. Okay, now wellness. So the first part was the faith. Now it's the wellness. Like think about your mental, physical, spiritual, and emotional health. I included jars for savings and investments because stewardship is one of my biggest goals this year. Yeah, stewardship with everything God has given me, including my paycheck. Like I really want to shift this year and try to do more with what God's given me. Okay. Now dream big. Don't hold back here. For me, that meant adding things like writing my next book, because I already wrote two poetry books, but to me, that was just a way for me to get stuff out during the pandemic. Now I'm going, do you want me to write a book, Lord, on, psychoeducational training for therapists or for others or for women? I'm sitting with that every morning now, asking God, because I have it in me, like right now, to maybe write a book. So I also put creating videos for my poetry or, finding sponsors for this podcast. So if you're out there and you want to be a sponsor, please contact me. And then I have relationships. Make space for family, friendships, and community. One of my favorite parts of my board is a photo of my family. It reminds me to prioritize what matters most. And to me, that is what matters most is first, my relationship with Jesus, and second, my family. I want to now say yes to every time they say, "Hey, can you watch so and so?" or "Can you be with so and so?" or "Hey, can you come over?" I'm going to try my best to say yes. And this is why I am sort of, um, for my clients listening, as you know, I sent out a mass email to all my clients saying that I am now only working Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday from a certain time to a certain time. So even if you are a potential client and want to contact me, just so you know, my hours are Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday from 9:30 to 4:30 because there's other things that I have to be doing and other personal things that I need to take care of. All right. So how do you use your prayer board? So once your prayer board is finished, here's how to make it a part of your daily life. Place it somewhere visible. Keep it where you see it daily, your desk, your prayer corner, or even a clipboard like I do, just because I like to. Sometimes when it's beautiful outside, I'll go in my screen porch with it. Or when it's really cold, like it's about to come here. And I know anyone listening out of South Florida, I don't know what really cold is because it's been a long time since I lived in New York. But to me, really cold in the mornings is anything under 65. And so I won't sit in my screen porch in the morning to watch the sunrise. I will sit in my office over here. Okay. Pray over it regularly. I like to start my mornings by praying over my board. I ask God to guide me, to show me where I need to take action, and to remind me where I need to let go. And then that's where I began to journal. So whatever comes to mind, I just start writing. And you don't have to sit there for a long time writing either. And some of my stuff doesn't make sense. And sometimes I look back and I can't even read my own handwriting. It's just important to let it come out of your brain. That's, especially with handwriting. I like to, just write it all out. And then check in often. This isn't a set it and forget it kind of thing. Life changes, and so do our goals. Give yourself permission to revisit your prayer board, make adjustments, and celebrate the ways God is moving. And here's what I want you to remember: you do not have to have it all figured out. You don't have to be perfect, and you don't have to carry the weight of your dreams alone. Joshua 1:9 says, "Be strong and courageous. Do not be afraid. Do not be discouraged, for the Lord your God will be with you wherever you go." Whatever this year holds, success, setbacks, or surprises, you are not walking it alone. So, if this episode inspired you, I'd love for you to sign up to my blog. And I've written all about this process of the Faith and Wellness Board. This actually today it came out. So this episode should come out on Wednesday. So go ahead and look at it, and maybe there's more to it than what I just shared with you. I've there's more tips, and hopefully it aligns with your faith and wellness goals. And if you create your own prayer board, tag me on Instagram using hashtag Liberation Lunas, which is hashtag LIBERATION LUNES, or hashtag Through the Valley Therapy. I love to cheer you on. And before you go, don't forget to leave a review and share this episode with a friend. Let's keep building this community and encouraging one another to step into all that God has for us. All right, that's all for today. Fearfully and wonderfully made human. And let's close the door to 2024 and come alive in 2025 with faith, courage, and grace. And remember, trust in the Lord, guard your heart, and renew your mind. Bye. And now for the disclaimer to make sure you understand that you are responsible for you. The content provided on the Holistic Counselor podcast is for entertainment and informational purposes only and is not intended as a substitute for professional medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. Always seek the advice of your physician or other qualified mental health provider with any questions you may have regarding a medical or mental condition. Never disregard professional medical advice or delay seeking it because of something you have heard on this podcast. The views expressed on this podcast are my personal opinions and do not represent the views of any professional organizations with which I am affiliated. Call your doctor, 911, or 988 immediately if you have a medical emergency. The Holistic Counselor podcast does not recommend or endorse any specific tests, physicians, products, procedures, opinions, or other information that may be mentioned on the podcast. Reliance on any information provided by the Holistic Counselor podcast, guests appearing on the podcast at the invitation of the Holistic Counselor podcast, or other listeners to the podcast is solely at your own risk. Confidentiality notice. If you engage with the Holistic Counselor podcast by commenting or posting and are a client, please be aware that you may be revealing information that could compromise your confidentiality. Please remember that disclosing your identity or personal details can be linked to your clinical material. As a therapist, I am bound by confidentiality and will not respond to any disclosures of this type on this podcast. I am committed to upholding the ethics and confidentiality of the therapeutic relationship, which extends to all forms of communication in accordance with the laws and professional guidelines that govern mental health professionals. I want you to know that your privacy is of utmost importance, and you are responsible for protecting it when interacting on this platform or any other public forum. Thank you.